This isn't an argument against real estate professionals. It's an argument against the pricing model. Over time, real estate commissions have drifted away from how professional services are normally priced. Instead of reflecting work, complexity, or value delivered, they scale automatically with home prices. When compensation rises without a corresponding increase in effort or output, it stops functioning like a fee. It begins to function like a tax embedded in the transaction. My name is Steve Colino, and this is Confidential Remarks. That's the idea we're examining. Here's the structural flaw. Commissions aren't based on value delivered, time invested, or problem solved. They're based on a fixed percentage of the asset price. As a result, the cost of service rises with the price of the house, not the work of the professional. That disconnect creates an economic anomaly. Pricing becomes detached from reality. This system ignores workload entirely. A simple transaction and a drawn-out, high-friction negotiation often cost the consumer the same percentage fee. There is little visibility into the actual labor required, and no pricing adjustment for complexity or duration. In most service industries, effort matters. Here, it doesn't. Technology usually lowers prices. Automation and efficiency gains reduce labor and pass savings to consumers. Real estate behaves differently. As technology improves, consumer costs keep rising because commissions are tied to asset prices. Higher prices trigger automatic pay increases, even when the work stays the same. This chart shows the core distortion. Agent workload and process costs remain relatively flat over time, but commissions rise sharply as home prices increase. When the asset doubles, the fee doubles, even if the process is unchanged. That widening gap represents value captured without value created. A true professional fee is transparent and justified by service. When pricing is disconnected from effort, outcomes, and time, it loses that legitimacy. What remains is a built-in levy on the transaction itself, paid not for expanded service, but simply to participate in the market. That's why it increasingly feels like a tax. Commission dollars are at historic highs, not because services expanded, but because home prices inflated. The market has increased the cost of service without increasing the value of service. Consumers are starting to notice the difference. If the economics don't make sense, why hasn't the model changed? Because the system rewards those who defend it. Tradition, industry language, and status quo arguments act as barriers to change. Efficiency threatens predictable revenue, so it's resisted rather than embraced. When forced to choose, the system protects itself. Consumer benefits, lower costs, transparency, efficiency, are secondary to preserving revenue structures. Addressing the mismatch between price and value would disrupt the model, so the mismatch is defended instead. Consumers aren't rejecting professional service. They're rejecting a pricing model that no longer makes sense. Once the math becomes clear, the gap between price and value is impossible to ignore. What used to be hidden is now obvious and frustrating. Markets always move toward transparency and choice. Automatic pay raises tied to asset inflation are giving way to measurable value and accountable pricing. This shift isn't philosophical, it's economic, and it's already underway. This has been Confidential Remarks.